Yeah. So did you ever have someone say to you, come to an event, it's going to be good? And then some other experts in the field say, you need to come, it's going to be good. Well, Friday night we had this experience when everybody told us just come because it's going to be really good. This Rachel Brown and the Beatnik Playboys are really good. They were awesome. Woo! They were absolutely amazing. If somebody asked me the question, what are the top 5 voices of our era? The first one that comes to my mind is Whitney Houston. But another one that would come to my mind, if you just listen to her sing, is Linda Ronstadt. Oh, yeah. I mean, the woman could sing. If you just listen to her sing. And as I listened to Rachel Brown do her songs, it was spot on. It was truly amazing. So thank you to all who put that together. Thank you to Heather. I wish she was in here. She's with our children this morning. And I don't want to take her thunder away. Later she's going to give a few words about that, but it was really amazing. So I have a question for you to start this morning. And my question for you is this. How many of you are now realizing that navigating your life by the 5 senses alone is no longer enough? Amen. Yeah. It's no longer enough. So my next question for you, how many of you are realizing that humanity navigating its journey together on the planet by the 5 senses alone is no longer enough? We are in the heart of it. We are in the heart of making this transition. And what's also, I think if we're just honest with ourselves, very, very few are comfortable with their lives being guided by what they hear and see through the ears and the eyes of the soul. We're still working on trusting that. I think we are. I think we're still working on trusting that. The Sufi poet Rumi said, the soul has given its own ears to hear things the mind does not understand. The soul is given its own ears to hear the thing that the mind does not understand. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about this morning. It's exactly what we're going to explore this morning. We're going to explore that we are living in a time when we are absolutely being bombarded with information of every variety. Would you agree with me? We are being bombarded. But there's another message, the message of spirit, that our day is calling for us to become masters of following. And here's the thing, those will be the new leaders of our new day. Those who have developed that mastery will be the leaders of our new day. Now, I've read that the average person today is exposed to 34 gigabytes of information per day. The average person is exposed to 100,000 words or more today that they're processing and integrating. Back in the 1960s, during the time of President John F. Kennedy, that was only about 3,000 to 10,000 words per day. In the time of Moses, it was just a few hundred words. In the time of Buddha, it was just 500 to 1,000 words. In the time of Jesus, it had grown to 1,000 to 2,000 words. I was having a conversation last week on Zoom with Michelle Tyson, who was here a couple of weeks ago giving us a presentation on rising in consciousness. And, we were talking about this very subject of growing into that place where we could develop receiving this inner light, receiving this understanding, being guided by that. And what she said was something really profound. She said, David, during the time of Buddha and Jesus, it was much easier. Are you with me? They weren't being bombarded with all this information. They had more opportunities in their culture to be in solitude, to be in the silence. So 1,000 to 2,000 words during the time of Jesus, 3,000 to 10,000 during the time of John F. Kennedy. Today, 34 gigabytes or 100,000 words today. Where is it all going? You know, I read that 30 years from today, our children will be subjected to 3 million words per day. That's 30 computer storage capability of our current computers. 30 computers per year of storage information the average child of today will be exposed to in 30 years. Where is it all going? So the next question I have for you this morning, do you feel like you're on information overload? Yeah. Are we living in information overload? And is it having an impact on you? That's another question to contemplate. And of course, the most important question in this line of questions is, can you still hear the words of Spirit through the ears of your soul amidst all of this information and noise? Noise. Some of it is intentional to distract you. Some of it does not have your best intention in mind. It just does not. You know, I don't know what the actual percentage is right now of how much of those 100,000 words a day, 34 gigabytes of information per day, what information of that doesn't have your best interest in mind. You can do your own estimate. But I'm pretty sure you'll come up with, it's pretty significant. It's pretty significant. This morning, let's explore hearing the voice of Spirit and what are the keys to hearing the voice of Spirit amidst all this noise. Are you willing? Yes. We're going to explore 3 keys. And then at the end of the talk, we're actually going to look at 2 things. They're not so much keys, but they're very unique things about the spiritual qualities of our day and what the Christ consciousness is calling for. What it is calling for in our day. So here we go. So the place we're going to start this journey is in the canonized gospel, where Jesus tells this parable, the parable of the sower, right? And in this parable, he reveals something so key to living a truly prosperous life, to actually living in that state where you're multiplying, where your life itself is such a energetic leadership that it's moving out into others and they're noticing this within themselves. And so he says these things. It says the same day Jesus went out of the house and sat by the lake. Such large crowds gathered around him that he got into the boat and sat in it while all the people stood on the shore. Now, if you're like me, I immediately see the yin-yang symbol in that. Right? People on the shore. Jesus gets in the boat, into the water, into the soul. You know, the light is in the darkness, and then the darkness is in the light, and they've come together at the shoreline. So it's telling us, you're at that place where you're listening. And so at that, then he told them many things in parables, saying, a farmer went out to sow his seed. As he scattered the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it. Some fell on the rocky place where it did not have much soil. It sprang up because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seeds fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. And then he said this, still other seed fell on good soil, where it produced the crop 100, 60, and 30 times what was sown. What is that good soil? Jesus actually reveals it in this parable. You know, there's only one parable that Jesus speaks where he comes back and tells you what it meant. And the reason he did it is because it's so important. It's the first thing. And we've explored it already this morning, but we're going to open it up again. So it goes on, the disciples came to him and asked, why do you speak in parables? He replied, because the knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them. They haven't come to the shoreline, right? They're not there at the intersection between heaven and earth. They're not there at that center. They haven't realized yet how important living from the center is. So he goes on and says, whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken away. This is why I speak in parables. Though seeing, they do not see. Not your center, you do not see. Through hearing, they do not hear or understand. In them is fulfilled the prophecy, you will ever be hearing 34 gigabytes of information per day, but never understanding. You will ever be seeing, but never perceiving. And then the master tells them directly how the ears of the soul become shut. How they become shut. And he says this, it's because the people's heart have become calloused. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Step one, as we explored this morning, is we have to be ever diligent, ever present with just what is it that may be shutting down our heart? What is capturing us? Where is this information that doesn't have our best intention in mind? In fact, it has what it has in mind is to traumatize and addict you. Back in the, there's this rule now that after 50 years they'll release, some of these conversations that politicians were having, and they'll actually release the tapes. Now, it wasn't long ago I was listening. I'm not going to tell you who the president was or who it was or what it was because it's not even important. But as they released the tape and I listened, this particular candidate was having a conversation with the media. And he said, we must never forget the power of traumatizing and addicting. It's intentional. It's intentional. So the first key is to look where we're being called to be attached. Have you noticed during this period of the election that sometimes your energy is just attached? I sure have. I mean, sometimes people say something and I go, whoa, I want to react and just let them know what I see, right? But then I have to go back to my heart and breathe in and out of the heart and come back to the center. Our day is calling for us to master this because it's the voice of Spirit that's going to take us to our new day, not all the noise. So there's another story that reveals the second key that I want to explore this morning, and that's the story of Solomon. And Solomon is having a dream. Now, I brought the Metaphysical Bible, the dictionary this morning, so look out. Look out. I love the work that Charles Fillmore has done in this document and all those who helped him with the document. Every single time I go to this document, I am blown away at the understanding and the range of understanding that our founders had. And he has this same understanding of this key to hearing the voice of Spirit, this key to receiving understanding. In fact, what's happening for Solomon in this story is he doesn't feel adequate to lead the people, to lead them and to lead them into justice, is his words, How are we going to have justice among all that's happening here, right? Can you relate with that? How can there be justice? And so he asks, what happens is, in this story, Solomon goes into a dream, and it says he meets the Lord, which is like saying he meets his true self, right? You with me on that? And the Lord asks him, what is it that you desire more than anything else? What is it? You want to be a great leader? You want to lead people during this time of justice? What is it you desire more than anything else? And what he said was that he desired more than anything else a discerning heart. A discerning heart to govern the people. And it says the Lord was pleased with that. Was pleased. When you hear that phrase that the Lord was pleased, it's like saying they're waking up to the cosmic law. They're waking up to the cosmic law. that all the impact that we will ever have on one another starts with this deep desire to seek a higher consciousness first. Right? Just as we sang this morning. And then what the Lord says back to him, since you have asked for this guidance from Spirit first, and not for the long life or wealth for yourself, nor have you asked for death of your enemies, but for discernment in administering justice, I will do what you have asked. I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never be anyone like you, nor will there ever be. Moreover, I will give you what you have not asked for, both wealth and honor. It all starts with seeking first. Seeking first the understanding of our true self. Now what I'd like to do this morning is actually use this metaphysical Bible a little bit. And what it says in this story is that Solomon has this experience in the land of Gibeon. Let me read to you from the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary just what it says about that land where this experience occurred, where he knew that to be able to actually go forward and be an energetic leader of his day. The new leaders of the new day are going to be energetic leaders. By that I mean that it's going to happen just through what's coming off you. Right? This is the true leaders of the new day. So it says, Gibeon is that high point in spiritual consciousness. It's called a place of sacrifice because it is here that man lets go of personal ideas and desires and seeks only the presence of God. The essential steps that must be taken before man can enter spirit are first, there must be an earnest desire to know the presence of God, to feel the presence of God. There must be a deep desire to be guided by Spirit. And second, there must be the willingness to eliminate 5 sense thoughts from consciousness. This is accomplished through denying error expression in thought and act and affirming the substantial ideas of Spirit. Now let's read Solomon. It says, when the ruling intelligence is in harmony with the fundamental character of the center, rapid construction of the spiritual body goes on. We are told David could not build the great temple because he was a man of war. When violent and resistant emotions hold sway in the mind, the turmoil is such that as to prevent any permanent construction of the new body, of the new human, on the higher planes of consciousness. We must pay very close attention to anywhere where our heart is becoming calloused. It's preventing us moving into this new body, this new being. And it's clearly what our day is calling for. So we see the importance of cultivating peace instead of war, non-resistance instead of resistance, harmony and love instead of discord and hate. If we really want to transform this world, that's where it all starts. That's where it all starts. So if step 1 is an uncalloused heart, and step 2 is this deep, deep desire to be guided by the information of Spirit, what is step 3? Now I'm talking to a unity crowd this morning, right? You've been trained and taught about the Trinity that is mind, idea, and action, expression. What comes next? In order to move into that state where we just are being guided by Spirit in our life, we must have an unwavering faith filled with a firm decision to follow that divine guidance amidst all the noise. And it may not be in the direction of the masses. It may not be in the direction of the masses. You know, in the beginning of this talk, I said that we're going to cover 3 keys, and then we're going to move into 2 really important spiritual qualities of our day. And so these 2 might be the most important takeaways from this talk. So the question is, what is the Christ consciousness that is coming now most looking for? What is it most looking for? Can we agree that we're living in a time where this coming of the Christ consciousness is really accelerating? You know, Charles Fillmore thought that this is coming all the time in our lives. It's been coming all the time throughout history. But I think right now we could all agree that it's really accelerating right now. What is the Christ consciousness that's coming forth now most looking for? It's looking for those who will walk by the message they receive through the ears of their soul. It's looking most for those who will walk by the message they receive through the ears of their soul and not listening to the masters of information manipulation. Yeah. The Christ consciousness is coming now, and the signs are everywhere. And the age of rapid information that can overload us is a sign of the age of the coming of the Christ consciousness. I want you to hear what is written in Luke 18:8. For those of you who like to get out your phones and check out the scripture, or go home and look it up and see what this is really saying. Listen to what Luke 18:8 says. Nevertheless, it says, when the Son of Man comes. Now, a couple weeks ago, we looked at what that meant. What does that mean when the Son of Man comes? It's like saying when the human potential begins to break through the five sense consciousness alone. Are you with me? Yeah. This is the coming of the Son of Man. We are right at that point. We are right at that point when our day is calling for it. Here's what it says. When the Son of Man comes, and it asks a question, will he find faith on earth? Will he find those who are waking up to being guided by the information of spirit first, rather than the information of our age that is just bombarding us? Those diligent to dwelling in the presence through an uncalloused heart, and those who desire most God's information first over five sense information are going to be the leaders of our new day. Those following this direct knowing are going to be the leaders of our day. You know, one of the things for us to discover during this time, there's been this age-old good versus evil war, right? Yeah. But what we know now is no one wins the good versus evil war. Have you noticed that? If somebody convinces somebody they're the good guy, the other one's the bad guy, or they're the good one, the evil, it's only temporary. Right? And it's especially temporary now in our age, when we have all these ways of showing they're the evil one, they're the good one. And so it ends up sounding something like this. My science is right. No, my science is right. No, yours is driven by corruption. I'll prove it. I'll make a documentary on it and show you just how much it's driven by corruption. Well, go ahead, because I'm going to release one right after you do. As another documentary. It's going to show you that our view, the opposite view, is the one that's not being controlled by corruption. Can you hear it? Isn't that what's going on? Because we believe that that's what we're here for, is to win this good versus evil fight. It's not. We're here to triumph over it. That's the call, to triumph over it. I mean, when you listen to this, you know, you're controlled by the corruption. That's where your view's coming. No, you're controlled by the corruption. And if you honestly sit down and watch both of the documentaries, and I've done it, I have done this, they're both convincing. They're both extremely convincing. That's not where the search is to be now. It's just not. We're here to triumph over duality. How do you do that? How do you transcend this fight and bring a new earth? You do it by dwelling in the presence and becoming the best version of yourself through listening through the ears of your soul, a voice the mind does not understand. Are you with me? Yeah. You do it by dwelling in the presence, seeking first the higher consciousness, and then moving to become the very best expression of all the potential that you are through listening through the ears of your soul. That's the information that is most important for bringing the new earth. During the time of Moses, there were a few hundred words a day. During the time of Buddhists, there was 500. Time of Jesus, 1,000. John F. Kennedy, 10,000. Today, 34 gigabytes of information, 100,000 words a day. In 30 years, our children will process 3 million words per day with technologies that could persuade anyone to believe what they want you to believe, right? This is where we're at. But isn't it obvious that 5 cents information is going to destroy us if we let it? Can you see that? It's absolutely going to destroy us if we let us. We must all make the switch from living our life led by 5 cents information first, and be committed to becoming masters of discovering the grace. Some like to call it the absolute magic. I like to call it that, actually. The absolute magic of living a faith-filled life. That's what it's calling for. Amidst all the noise, it's there for a reason. Why do you think it's there? It's there because it knows you have to master this. We have to master this. I have to master this. It's like it's amplified because it's time to amplify our faith. Are you with me? Everything is going to be all right. Rose, if you want to come forward. Everything is going to be all right. Again, the ones that the Christ consciousness that is coming now is looking for. What it's looking for are those who follow the information they hear through the ears of their soul. Everything is going to be all right. Namaste.